All right, we're back. Silver and Blue Huddle, man. Episode number 11. Back by popular demand. I know you guys didn't think that we was going to come back because the Cowboys lost, but we back. Win or lose, we show up every single week to give you guys a podcast. So we're back here to talk Cowboy Nation football, man. Dallas Cowboys, Buffalo Bills. Very disappointing game yesterday. Was Sunday. Today's Tuesday, but very disappointing game on Sunday. And I'm just gonna hop right into it, man, because I'm kind of like I'm not happy. Like the Dallas Cowboys went out and just they was bad. They was bad. Very, very, very bad. But let me hop right back into it, man. Offensively, where was the offense? Where was Dak Prescott? Where was Dak Vick? Where was Tony Pollard? Where was CeeDee Lamb? There was nowhere to be found. It was bad from start to finish. The Dallas Cowboys is bad. And we can't have that in December. Like we talked a few episodes ago, to where December football was supposed to be the best Cowboy football. And it normally typically is going by history. But December now, like it was just bad. Like Cowboys was bad, man. Dak Prescott went 21 for 34 for 134, which was bad because he didn't really get over 100 yards until like the fourth quarter. So like from quarters 1 through 3, he was at like 50, 60 yards. I mean, no, you guys can say the weather. It was raining. The weather didn't have no part of that. Like it didn't start raining heavy until the fourth quarter, and the game was already over. So they just played bad from start to finish. The very first series was bad. Like overall, offensively, they ain't really much to talk about. Tony Pollard went over 52 yards for 11 carries. CeeDee Lamb had 10 targets, caught 7 of them for 53 yards. Jake Ferguson 6 for 44 on 8 targets. Brandon Cooks 2 for 10 on 6 targets. Like the offense was nowhere to be found. The run game wasn't nowhere to be found. The passing game was nowhere to be found. Play calling definitely had a little bit of impact a little bit as well. But overall, I ain't really got nothing to say about the offense because they were just bad. So I don't know about So Amazing, Expert. I don't know what you guys got to say about the offense or what you guys got to say about your first initial reaction to the game. Like, what do you guys think?
First off, my initial reaction, as you can tell, I am in all black today. I am in mourning. I am upset. Bob Oskey is upset. We are very upset over here in Cowboy Nation, all the way in Jersey on the East Coast, because that defense that is supposed to be so elite, that's supposed to be Super Bowl ready, got me very upset. So that's my initial reaction, is that when it comes to this Dallas Cowboys defense is what really got me upset. I understand you went through all the offensive tips and stats and everything like that, but defense wins championships in my mind. And when I look at these stats, all I see is no Dallas fumbles, no forced fumbles. I don't see no Dallas interceptions. I didn't see no Deron Bland. I didn't see any of that. This is what gets me upset. I see 7 solos by Damone Clark, 7 solos by DeMarcus Lawrence, and about 8 total tackles by Devon Wilson and Wyan Thomas too. I see it right here. But can we have run fits? I'm gonna look into the camera real quick. For those of you that don't understand what football is on defense, there's a thing called run fits, okay? And when you have bad angles in football and you're not hitting the gap the right way, that is what happens to your defense. You get gouged for 173 yards on the ground by James Cook and Josh Allen together for a combined over 200 plus yards rushing in Buffalo, New York. So what I'm saying, Dallas Cowboys defense, is your defense is designed for pass rush. And that's very fancy. It looks good on film. It looks good, when you're watching it on TV with your friends high-fiving. But it's not good to get ran on 200 plus yards and you need linebackers with your run fits. So that's my initial reaction. Get it together and let's tackle.
Love it. What about you, X? You muted.
I think I knocked out his mic. We got so excited. I knocked out the mic.
Can you hear him? I can hear him.
All right, I'm back.
There we go. There we go.
All right, so my
a
initial
lot of
reaction
energy
is,
coming out.
is yes, offense and defensively, there's a lot of issues, but I want to talk about the intangibles for the Dallas Cowboys. And you see So Amazing, wore his all black. He's in mourning. I put on the Marion Barber jersey because one thing I did not see is what this guy gave us every single game, and that was effort. And when you come off of a big win from the Philadelphia Eagles, a game that, you know, this Cowboy Nation hyped up like, oh, we're back. Here we are. This is the true Cowboys. You have an opportunity to go to Buffalo against a team fighting for their playoff lives. You have a chance to really knock them out of the playoffs, a team that's really good, a chance to really knock their playoff hopes. And I didn't see effort. Here's what I saw. I saw the Buffalo Bills come out the tunnel and they punched the Dallas Cowboys in the mouth. Right. And that, what did Mike Tyson always say? Everybody got a game plan until you get punched in the mouth. Right. Well, the Cowboys got punched in the mouth on that first drive, and James Cook ran it right down our throats. We can talk Josh Allen being this great quarterback. Josh Allen had less than 100 yards throwing the football. They weren't throwing the rock around. Nope. They ran it down our throats, and we stood there and took it. Now, you can talk about the injuries. No Jonathan Hankins. You don't have Malik Hooker back on the back end. Wanye Thomas has to step in, and Wanye played well. Shout out my guy, Wanye Thomas. Played really, really well in this game, having to step in and take over for a veteran like Malik Hooker. I'm pleased. Damone Clark played real well. DeMarcus Lawrence, real well. But what I didn't see is the effort from the rest of that group to go after this Buffalo Bills team, to stand there and say, listen, we're not letting this team continue to run the football like that. Whether it's run fits, whether it's knowing your assignment, whether it's getting to the football, it's the effort for me. The second thing for me, it's the penalties. It's just the careless penalties. Now, the first one against Josh Allen, DeMarcus, he takes one step, he hits him in the chest. Josh Allen sells it, Golden Globe to the guy, Josh Allen. He sold the hell out of it. He gets the roughing the passer. You got to tighten up at that point and make him to hold them to 3. They don't. They get the touchdown. The one that frustrated me the most was the block punt. Now, Sam Williams made a hell of a play. He is there to block the punt. But I know they have Fossil and probably one of the best special teams coach in the NFL. He teaches those guys where the point of the football is to go block a punt. And it's not jumping in the air at the punter. That's not what they are taught. Then we find out that play wasn't even called. That was something Fossil sent in just for Sam Williams to go try and block the punt. If you notice, everybody else is setting up for a return. You cannot afford, in a game with the weather, the rain is there, you're not going to throw the ball around. It's not going to be a 45-40 game, right? It's a 13-10 kind of ball game.
Right.
You can't afford to give them extra series, and that's exactly what we did. Effort, stupid penalties, and I need to find out what Cowboy team shows up after this loss, because you can go two ways. And we'll talk about that in the last segment of Cowboy Nation versus another team we hate in this league. We're going to talk about that as we move forward. But those were my initial reactions for the intangibles. Got to be better. Obviously, offense and defense is one thing, but man, I got to see some effort next week.
Right. And just to piggyback on what Mike was saying, like so what Mazi was saying about tackling ankles, I did read an article from Dan Quinn that said that is exactly what his problem was that he had with this last game, that the Cowboys took bad tackling angles and was not able to wrap up. Like when we talked about this last week with the Eagles game, the reason why we kind of won that game and was able to kind of slow down the Eagles a little bit was our tackling abilities. We was able to tackle those dudes in space. We was able to like get them down on the ground to where they didn't really get that many yards after the catch, or they even bust through the holes like James Cook just did recently in our game. So tackling angles definitely played a big part in that game, because if we was able to tackle him and get him on the ground, they wouldn't have had all those rushing yards, and then they would have had to probably put the ball back in Josh Allen's hands and to pass the ball a little bit. But why would they pass if they're able to just gash us all up and down the field with James Cook? Bad tackling angles, man. That was bad. That was terrible.
And they were very unique with their running too against our defense, because back to the defensive side is that, our defense is designed for pass rush. And I mean it is. We brought in Hankins and we were hoping Mazi Smith can be that run stuffer, but like I said, we're having an issue at the linebacker position. Will Dan Quinn figure something out? I think so. I think he did fine. I'm not mad at Dan Quinn. I'm not mad at the coaching staff at all. I'm mad about, like what you said, expert. It's the effort. It's a rainy game. It's a sloppy game. Sometimes you just gotta come up and shed that block. listen, the Bills, they ran down our throats. They pulled guards, they pulled tackles, they had our linebackers getting caught in the wash. And then, when we needed to make a tackle, James Cook made them pay for it. So, hats off to the Bills, man. Like they needed that win a lot more than we did, of course, record wise. But Cowboy Nation, we have to rebound from it and learn from it. We have 3 hard games left.
Yep, and the Buffalo Bills definitely play hard and desperate, and that's one of the things that we was worried about in last week's episode was how dangerous of a team that has to win a game in order to improve their playoff position. Like, how hard was they going to come out and fight? And Buffalo obviously did that on the first series. Like, we did defer into the second half, which I thought was kind of a good thing. But Buffalo just came out and just like trashed us right from the beginning, and we wasn't able to respond. And that was a game where the offense needed to help out the defense a little bit and score some points, or at least get in field goal range to score some points, because that probably would have helped out the defense a lot. That probably would have changed the Buffalo Bills game plan a little bit if our offense was able to step up and get the defense some points. But they weren't able to do that. So it's not really much to talk about with this game. Offensively was bad. Defensively bad. Hopefully we recover. We go back to the drawing board, go back to Dallas, or I don't even know if they even went back to, maybe they on their way to Miami. Maybe they should have just went from New York right down to Miami so they can just get right into a hotel conference room and look at the tape and figure it out, because our next opponent on Christmas Eve is the Miami Dolphins. So my question to you guys is, can we bounce back? And how do you think we will bounce back?
I'll let you go on that one, expert.
Yeah,
first.
I think, again, this is one of those times as a football team where you can go one of two ways, right? You could come out versus Miami and say, okay, we played horrible versus Buffalo. It's one game. That's not who we are, right? We are a high-flying, scoring football team. Defensively, we got to drop our nuts and say, look, this is a high-powered offense we're about to play. We have to step up and play well. Or the Dallas Cowboys can do what we've seen them do in the past, and they can come out against Miami and say, you know what, the sky is falling. Now we're going to take 2 in a row. Don't worry, guys. We already clinched the playoff spot. If I hear another Dallas Cowboy fan get on social media and say that game didn't matter, we already clinched the playoffs, that is not what Super Bowl winners say. That's not what a Super Bowl winning team says. Right. You think Michael Irvin and Emmitt Smith are saying we made the playoffs, we good? No. You think the 49ers sitting back saying, hey, we won the division, we got the number 1 seed pretty much sold. You think they just sitting back like we good, let's just coast into the playoffs? No. We have to go out here and beat every team on the schedule and make a statement going into these playoffs. Now, which Cowboy team are we going to get? I certainly hope we get the team that comes out and gives me effort. Because if you don't do it versus Miami, they got some running backs too that can run the football. And when you come up to stop the run, they have Flash over there, playing wide receiver. And guess what? He took a week off to get ready for the Cowboys. He could have played this week, but Tyreek said, you know what? I got a team that y'all think can stop the pass coming in, and me and Waddle about to show y'all. So I better see a Cowboy team come out with effort, because I'm one of those Cowboy fans that I know both of these guys that are on the podcast with us, both of them are the same way. We are the realest type of Cowboy fans. We're not going to hold no punches.
Right.
I put it on TikTok immediately after that game. The lack of effort is sickening to me. I'm tired of seeing it. It's been 30 years. I'm tired of watching it. I don't care that we got 5 Super Bowl championships. What have you done for me lately as a Cowboy fan? And we can talk Dan Quinn coming out saying it's the run fit or we didn't tackle well. I don't care. You get paid millions of dollars. Figure it out.
No, I
expect them to figure it out come Sunday or Saturday when they play the Miami Dolphins on Christmas Eve. Don't ruin the Christmas, Cowboys.
No, yeah, it would be Sunday, yeah, the 24th, yeah.
Yep. Christmas
So,
Eve.
just to, my reaction going into this game is like, okay, we took the L, and now let's go to sunny Miami, Florida, right now. I'm looking at the weather right now. 76 degrees with 60% humidity.
Ooh, it's going to be nice.
All right. So it's going to be good weather. I just hope the players, when they get off that plane, expert, they are laser focused and they not going to the clubs.
Yeah.
Because I know it's Christmas weekend. These guys are young. They're going to get off that plane. They're going to be like, yo, we just clinched the playoff spot. I'm in Miami. I get it. These guys got a lot of money in their pocket, but I need a laser focused Cowboy team because I'll be honest, man, like defensively, yeah, we're going to get to Tua. I'm not worried about that. I am worried about you trying to get slick and you want to press man coverage. They're going to torch you. Linebackers, you got to tackle because they're going to see the film. They're going to try to run the ball on you. They're going to try to go single high safety, and then they're going to torch us over the top. They have 2 fast receivers, okay? We cannot make this a track meet with them. We, the Cowboys, need to be physical. We need to beat them up to where they're in a position to where Tua has to drop back 30, 40 times. We cannot be in a situation where they got running backs 25, 35 plus carries. We cannot do that because then Micah's not going to be effective. I'm sorry. I'm not saying Micah's not a good player. I'm just saying our D-line is designed to hunt. So I say my initial reaction is that go down to Miami, enjoy the weather, let that warm weather get into the joints, enjoy your Christmas holidays, but get the dub to bring that fire back into the team because you need momentum going into the playoffs because you got another tough one right after at the Lions. So you have to send a statement to these Dolphins.
Right. And one of the things that's actually good about the Cowboys this particular season that they haven't really lost 2 straight. So we got that going for us. And like looking at the schedule, and I know the Buffalo loss was definitely kind of crazy and it was like we very upset about that. But Cowboys was on like a 5-game winning streak. And winning games in the National Football League is kind of hard. And then to win like 5 or 6 straight back to back to back is kind of tough. So, just got to throw that out there as well. But it looks like the Dolphins might be missing some key players on offense and defense. I think Tyreek Hill is definitely going to play this week, so we got to watch out for him. But on defense, they don't have Xavier Howard. They got Javon Holland and Deshaun Elliott. They might be out, so that might help the Cowboys a little bit. They may be able to throw the ball around a little bit, but hopefully Zach Martin comes back. But we got to be able to tackle. If we can tackle like we did in the Eagles game, man, like Tyreek Hill ain't going to go off for additional yards. The rookie running back that they actually have from Miami, he's pretty good. He's fast. They also got Raheem Mostert as well. So their run game is going to try to do something based on what they saw from the Buffalo Bills game. But if we can limit that and just tackle like we should, the screen game is going to go crazy for Miami. The play action is going to go crazy for Miami. So we have to be laser focused on defense in order to stop all that. And the offense has to wake up. The offense has to be there for the defense. Like if the Dolphins go down and score, we got to go down and score. And if we get a stop from the freaking defense, then the offense got to go down there and score. And then next thing you know, it's 14-7 or 21-7 Dallas Cowboys. That's going to change the whole offensive plan for freaking Miami if we're able to put points on them and not let them put points on us. And we got to come from behind. So I think that's the approach that we got to take going into this Dolphins game on Christmas Eve. And please, for the love of God, Dallas Cowboys, do not ruin Christmas, okay? Get a dub. We need a victory. Please do not ruin Christmas for everybody on this podcast and for the rest of the world because we're America's team and everybody's going to be watching us, baby, okay? Everybody would love to watch the Cowboys, okay? Win or lose,
need a Christmas gift.
Watching us. Yeah, I need additional Christmas gifts, man.
And I know you mentioned the injury too, real quick. So I think Zach Martin, I don't know if there's an update, guys. I think he had a quad contusion.
Yeah.
Which is something with the nerve. It wasn't firing the muscle. So hopefully he returns to.
Yeah, I think it was like a deep bruise or something like that. Yeah.
Zach Martin is questionable. Malik Hooker's still questionable. Jonathan Hankins is questionable. I don't think Hankins is going to play. I think he's going to be out another week. Zach Martin. I think Zach Martin is going to be a game time decision, and I think they're probably going to probably side on caution and say, look, we need this guy in the playoffs. He might not play this week. Again, I expect Malik Hooker to be back, which will be a big boost. But yeah, injury wise, I gotta get Mazi Smith. All that hype we had.
I was just about to say that.
I need to see some return on investment for Mazi Smith. You gave a first round pickup for him. We showed all these highlights of him at Michigan, lifting all these weights and being this strong Big Ten defensive tackle. He's going to help with the run game, and he has not really helped this football team, and he didn't again against Buffalo. But, there's time. He's young. I'm holding out hope, right? We gave Taco time. Let's
Oh
give
my
Mazi
God.
some time, right?
Right. I agree. Mazi Smith had 2 tackles last week. I was expecting a bigger game from him, but it didn't happen. But now
Now, do you think it's situational though? Like Rich?
I
can
think a
run
lot
some,
of it
man.
is reps at this point, right? He has not
Mazi,
played a lot this year, right? Jonathan Hankins, Odigizua have been the 2 workhorses on the inside. Mazi has been spot here, spot there. And when you're a young guy trying to adjust to the strength of the NFL, this is not Big Ten football, right? This is the NFL where everybody is the hoss. I mean, to play offensive line in NFL, you got to be big and strong, and you got to be a dog. And so he's trying. I still think he's trying to adjust to the game. I just hope he can figure that out because he's supposed to be a big piece for this Cowboy offense, for the next 5-6 years.
Because I know he has the strength.
Oh,
And that's,
definitely.
I think that's what it is. I think that's what it is with Cowboy fans. I think we're just like, we're trying to see like, okay, we see you extending because I'll see the replays and he is getting hands on and he's extending. He has the strength.
Yeah.
But it's like there's something in the
It's definitely
technique
reps.
that is not
It's
working.
reps. And the other part is you get a guy like Micah Parsons who comes onto the scene, and the very first year he's a monster, right? And everybody's like, "Oh, well, look at this Micah Parsons." So the next year you draft Mazi Smith, and people are like, "Oh yeah, the Cowboys are doing something on that front 4, right?" Well, let's pump the brakes. Not everybody is Micah Parsons, right? Not everybody is Aaron Donald, right? DeMarcus Lawrence, it took him a couple years to become DeMarcus Lawrence. So I just say we got to give Mazi some time, but I got to see, like you say, that effort of, okay, you get the extension. Now what do you do? Right? You got too many good guys in that locker room to not be learning. Okay, once I get this extension, I got to get my eyes through this guy and figure out where I'm supposed to go. Right? We're running stick right. I got to go right because that's my responsibility. So I think a lot of it is reps for me. Again, but we can't just wait 4 or 5 years for this guy to figure it out.
Right. And I agree. Hopefully he figures it out very, very soon and he's able to contribute this week.
Yeah.
Against Miami.
Yeah, we need
But
it. Yep.
after the Buffalo loss, right, something happened. The Cowboys going into Buffalo was the number 2 seed in the playoffs. After we lost, we dropped to number 5. And then Monday happened. The Philadelphia Eagles lost to the Seattle Seahawks. So now we're back at the number 2 seed in the standings. So let's talk about NFL Playoff Watch. So right now, looking at the NFC, 49ers, they continue to have the number 1 seed. Obviously, they won. Cowboys number 2, Detroit 3, the Buccaneers at 4, Eagles at 5, Vikings at 6, and the Rams at 7. Now, for the Cowboys to remain number 2, the Philadelphia Eagles has to probably lose maybe 1 or maybe 2 games, and the Cowboys got to win out. Because if the Cowboys win out and if the Eagles win out, then strength of schedule comes into play to determine who gets that number 2 seed and who wins the division. But talking about Playoff Watch, where we stand right now, number 2, we'll be facing the Rams. Detroit will be facing the Vikings, and the Bucs will be playing the Eagles. What do you guys think?
I mean, I like the way that sounds now, but it's just I'm looking at the stats too. I mean the standings too, and it's gonna change week to week, man. Like I'm looking at like even the records. There's a lot of 7-7 teams that thing can flip real quick. Like, right now it looks like it's Buccaneers, Eagles, and next thing you know, by the week 18, it could say Falcons, Cowboys. You know what I mean? So it's just I like the way that sounds right now, but I want to see momentum so we can get at least, I think it's two wins and maybe a loss. We'll still be the 5th seed. I mean, we're looking for a miracle. Maybe Tommy DeVito, maybe he could do, maybe he'll do a little something. Maybe the Eagles, get comfortable the second game. I know I'm praying maybe Kyler Murray feels like he wants to show out or something and beat the Eagles because I don't see the Eagles losing 3. Like I don't see it.
I see the Eagles winning out. Let's just say perfect scenario here. We all win out. It's going to come down to some of those secondary games for strength of schedule. We need the Cowboys to have a little bit bigger strength of schedule, which will come down to some wins and losses. We'll see. Regardless, we don't know who that 7th seed is. The Rams got a tough schedule. They play the Saints team who's battling for a position. They still have a tough game versus the 49ers, and the 49ers can't afford to lose a game. They're going to let the Eagles back into that conversation of the first round, because if the 49ers lose 2 and the Eagles win out, the Eagles take over. So there's a lot of scenarios that still have to play. All I'm going to say is, and we talked about this, we do not want to be the 5th seed, right? I don't want anybody to look at the schedule and say, okay, so if you're the 5th seed, you play this team. If you're the 2, no. You want to be the highest seed possible. You want a home playoff game first. That's the most important thing, because guess what the Cowboys do at home? They don't lose, right? You want to play at home. If you let's just say you find a way to get the 2 seed and you win your first playoff game, you play the Eagles in the divisional round, you beat the Eagles, and somehow the 49ers lose. And the NFC Championship game comes to Dallas. Now, obviously, those are pipe dreams, right? That would be the perfect scenario.
Right.
At the end of the day, here's what it comes down to. You have a tough game in Miami. You have to show you can play on the road, because all these other teams are looking at it too. Like, Cowboys don't play well on the road. Let's get them on the road.
Right.
So we can talk, because like So Amazing said, this playoff seeding is the way it looks today. I can guarantee you, put money on it, it's not going to look like this after next week.
Well, even tomorrow, right? Tomorrow's Rams Saints. So even after tomorrow,
it's going to be different. Right?
Thursday night game.
If the Saints find a way to beat the Rams, guess who bumps into that spot? The Saints are now 8-7 before everybody else plays. They're in the 7th seed. So if we get the 2 seed, we would play the Saints, whereas right now we're playing the Rams. Don't forget, the Seahawks, coming off a big win versus the Eagles, are also in that fighting for that spot. And if you look at their schedule, it's pretty easy the rest of the way. So it may be we may see a rematch versus the Seahawks. I don't know. At this point, for me, playoffs at this point, I know we've had years in past where you're 8-8, you're 9-7, whatever we used to be in that group, where you just prayed to get in the playoffs, right? Now, I want to see this team. They have the Dolphins, the Lions coming up these next 2 games, 2 playoff teams that are in the playoffs. I want to see what you're going to do against those 2 teams, because you may see them later on in life. And then you get the Commanders, who you guys know, it's not like the Commanders are ever a cakewalk for Dallas.
Absolutely not.
Because
it's a division game.
The Commanders love to be spoiler.
They're going to come out and fight. So I like where we're sitting in the playoffs. Obviously, I'd love to have the 2 seed, but again, 2 or 5 doesn't really make any difference. You got to go win games.
Absolutely, 100%. And just looking at the AFC, the Ravens pretty much the number 1 seed, Dolphins number 2. Which actually could help the Buffalo Bills if we did beat the Miami Dolphins on Christmas Eve, because right now Buffalo's in the hunt. They on the outside looking in, but they need us to beat the Miami Dolphins in order to like really get in contention for that freaking division win in order to make the playoffs. Kansas City number 3, Jacksonville 4, Browns at 5, the Bengals at 6, and the Colts at 7. So shout out to the Colts, man. I think the Texans, which is 8-6 right now, they still got opportunity too. So shout out to them. Playing hard, man. Like they are. I don't think anybody went into the season thinking that the Houston Texans was going to be playoff contenders.
No, absolutely not.
Well, because they're rookie quarterback, right?
Absolutely.
And the rookie of the year is what he is. Let's send the trophy to his house now. Let's just stop wasting. We can save some time. Send him the rookie of the year trophy.
Especially, honestly, if he makes the playoffs, and I mean, he don't even have to win a playoff game. If he makes the playoffs and does well, you might as well just ship it to his house. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. He's done well. Very proud for CJ Stroud. Doing really well in Houston.
And the NFL, like you just mentioned all these scenarios on the AFC and NFC side. Again, we're still in December football. This is crazy. Like the next 3 weeks are, unless you're like a locked in number 1 seed, you got meaningful football games to watch.
But that's it. So amazing. There's nobody locked in, right? The Ravens look like they're the world beaters. They got the Dolphins snapping at their tails, trying to get in that spot. You look at the 49ers playing really good football, but they still got the Cowboys, the Eagles trying to go up and catch them.
And the Lions are trying to sneak in.
I don't know if we've seen, it's been a while since we've had a more competitive playoff scenario on both sides, the NFC and AFC. There are so many teams fighting, legitimate fighting spots for these playoffs. If you're a football fan, this is exactly what you want to see. Teams, scratching and clawing, trying to get those last spots. And this is why they went to the 7 teams in the playoffs versus 6 that we used to have because of scenarios like this. Could you imagine if we only had 6 spots?
No, yeah, you would have a lot of teams.
How many
tanking right
teams
now.
that are going to have positive records that are going to miss out? Yeah,
Right.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to watch.
It's fun to watch. I mean, you got meaningful games. I mean, even the Giants over here, and with the Jets and the Giants, because I'm over here in Jersey. I wish you guys could hear the radio station every day over here. All I'm saying with this whole Tommy Cutlets thing, I really will be on my couch hoping that they could really do something to the Eagles and catch them off guard because
they might be able to. They might. But
I'm not saying the first matchup.
Yeah, so far only just one team has clinched the playoffs in the AFC, which is the Baltimore Ravens. And looking at the standings, it's kind of like 1 or 2 games that separate like 2 to 9. Like it could be like it can go either way. Kansas City's in it this week, but they might not be in it come next week. Like they are really struggling, man. So wow. Let's wrap it up, man. It was a tough week for our Cowboys, man. Tough loss this week. Like let's wrap it up. Any closing remarks that you guys got?
Yeah, I think I got one thing left.
Go ahead.
Right, Cowboy Nation, the 3 of us on this panel. I hate is such a strong word. I don't really ever like using hate. I really don't like that word. But I have a really bad dislike for the Eagle fans and that team. I just don't like the Eagles. Right, it's in my blood as a Cowboy. I just don't like them. So before I say this, I want to preface this by saying I don't like the Eagles. But here's one thing that always makes me wonder about Cowboy Nation. When the Eagles suck, that fan base calls it like they see it. They let them know they suck. They show up at their facility with signs. They on social media calling them out. It doesn't matter. They talk about Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown. I saw some big time Eagle guys that I follow on social media because I love the back and forth with Cowboy Nation talking about Jalen Hurts is not who they were. He's going backwards. AJ Brown got to stop crying. Suck it up. You get paid too much to cry. Go catch the damn football. Right? I see Eagle Nation doing that. And you know what I saw from Cowboy Nation this week? I saw, well, the weather was bad. The refs didn't let us win. It's not that big of a game for us. We already made the playoffs. Those are excuses, Cowboy Nation. We got to stop with the excuses. We got to start holding our football team to the same standard as a team like the Eagles, who wants to go win a Super Bowl. Now, Nick Sirianni, can't stand the guy, right? But his bravado, his ego, we need that.
Yeah.
I wish that was what my head coach was, right? That I wish you would say something to me. If you come over here, I'm gonna smack you. I need that bravado from this Cowboy Nation. So if you ever thought in your head that you watched that game or any game the Cowboys lose, you go, oh, they didn't want us to win. I want you to stop for a second and think about it. The refs are going to make bad calls. There's going to be things that happen in football games, but we got to stop letting the Cowboys have a pass every single time they do this to us. I'm tired of the woulda, coulda, shoulda every single offseason about this is our year. Right. I know it's in our contract as fans. We have to say this is our year 26 times during the football season, no matter what the record is. It's part of our fan contract. I get it. We have to hold them accountable for what they're not doing. If we call ourselves America's team for a reason, right? And I need to see America's team show up. And that's not just the Cowboys. I'm talking about the fan base. Let's start being honest with our football team and stop trying to sugarcoat everything with this football team.
Yeah. And I can tell like some of these people haven't really been Cowboy fans for too long, because if you've been a long life Cowboy fan, you've been through a lot of heartbreak. You done seen this team go very, very high. And then they have a game and they just drop you right on your freaking forehead because they play so bad. So it happens. Dallas is going to do what Dallas do, which is go out, win a couple games, and then come out and lose a game very, very bad. We saw it against San Francisco. We saw it against the Buffalo Bills. This is just what Dallas do sometimes. Like Dallas Cowboys are Dallas Cowboy, and that's just what they do. So we definitely got to hold them accountable. Like we got to come on here. We got to call them out. We got to say, y'all play bad. Y'all play like trash. Y'all are trash. And you just got to prove us otherwise. And if you don't, then we sit up here every single week and call you trash until you do something that is not trash worthy. They play like trash. So unless they come out and play against the Dolphins and play totally different, then we're going to come up here next week and we're going to call them trash again. And if they go out in the first round and the playoffs, we're gonna come up here and we're gonna call them trash. Okay? The Cowboys are who they are, who we all thought they were. And sometimes they play that trash. Now we just get up here and hope and cap and hope that they don't and prove what's wrong. But hey, sometimes they are who they are, and we just wait. What about you, So Amazing? Let's get out of here.
I have a great final thought, but before I even let mine's out, I think Bob Oski got something to say. Hold on one second. Hold on. Yeah. Are you sure? So Bob Oski wants Cowboys defense to get an Oski. Now, those of you that don't know what an Oski is, that's an interception, baby. That's an INT. He needs to see some Deron Bland action. That is what he's demanding. That is what he's telling me. So my final thought is together, everyone achieves more. I need teamwork. I need Dallas to go out there and dominate in that warm weather. Go get us a Christmas gift for your fans. Dak throw up two, three touchdowns, and we need an Oski.
Absolutely.
That's what I want to see.
100%. Do not ruin Christmas for us, Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott, don't ruin Christmas. Tony Pollard, don't ruin Christmas. Michael Parsons, do not ruin Christmas. Mike McCarthy, you better not ruin Christmas with your little shitty play calling, okay? Do not ruin Christmas for the Dallas Cowboy fans and the Cowboy Nation out there. Please, for the love of God. And I'm Richblkman, Expert Corner, So Amazing New Jersey, Silver and Blue Huddle, Cowboy Nation. We're out. We'll see you guys next week. Win or lose, we'll be here. But we'll see you guys next week. Happy holidays, everybody. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy Hanukkah. Happy holidays. All right. So until next week, man, we'll see you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check out Expert. Check out So Amazing social medias as well. Listen to us on all streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, and Google Play. So until next week, we out. See you guys. Peace out.